Hi. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to participate in this very important discussion. I think we've all agreed that it's not only appropriate, but crucial that the perspective of the ALS patient be heard. I live and struggle with ALS 24/7. There is no respite. The disease is relentless. I am totally dependent on others for all of my needs. This does give me time to contemplate. I think a lot. We appreciate the commitment of our doctors who have dedicated their professional careers to caring for us and solving so many mysteries of this complex disease. We appreciate the commitment of companies, philanthropy from individuals and foundations to support the research. We appreciate the FDA and its mission to ensure the safety of the treatments available. For me, it has been 6+ years. I have watched big hopes of new potential treatments fail to meet the anticipated endpoints. I know it is disappointing to the research community, the companies, and individuals providing the funding, and the FDA. We all want success. The disappointment in the patient community is even more profound. A death sentence with no reprieve still stands. Now, I am not eligible to participate in most clinical trials, and that was covered pretty well in the last panel discussion. However, I follow closely what is in the research pipeline. I take a number of medications and supplements that have been in past or are in current trials and are accessible to me. Some I eliminate after a period of time, and some I continue. As we all know, ALS is a very heterogeneous disease, and we will likely not all respond to the same treatments. Perhaps this is the reason I have outlived many ALS patients. Perhaps not. But I have only one shot at this, and I continue to fight ALS, the ALS monster, with every fiber of my being. This is my personal, though very limited, version of expanded access. But let me ask you, which is worse? Approving a drug that may not have the desired efficacy, or rejecting a drug that may prove effective for even a small subset of ALS patients? I am not the expert to discuss the finer intricacies of surrogate endpoints, but I do know my forced vital capacity increased by 20% and has been stable for 10 months, measured at home and in the clinic, since starting Radicava. That has made my life better. Certainly anecdotal, but yet the FVC is far more empirical measurement than most questions on the ALS-FRS. And I do congratulate the FDA's flexibility on the approval of Radicava. My concern here is the continued reliance on how the FDA mandates specific requirements in the research development of potentially new treatments. Could the surrogate endpoints, which could finally meet FDA requirements, the things that were mentioned, electrical impedance myography, sophisticated imaging, respiratory capacity, muscle strength, be an even more objective measure of functional loss or disease progression than the ALS-FRS? Can there be collaboration between all stakeholders to speed this development? My daily existence of forced contemplation has brought a few things into sharp focus. If we as a research regulatory community continue to utilize the same pathway used for the last 22 plus years, we will get the same minimally productive results. The ALS patient community is willing to accept more risk on the risk-benefit curve. And we deserve to have that opportunity. We are dying. I have lived with this disease since 2011, diagnosed in 2012. I realize the approval of a game-changing intervention will not happen in my lifetime. I do feel an obligation as an ALS patient, as a responsible member of society, to contribute to advancing the research forward. We could learn from failures. Participation could shorten my life even more. I acknowledge that, and I accept it. I know many of my fellow ALS patients on our journey feel the same. We need to make this a better world for ALS patients yet to be diagnosed. We need to be more creative, more aggressive, and more flexible in our development of new treatment options. Thank you.